Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Azure All Star podcast, where we put the spotlights on stars in the community in the hope of inspiring others to break into the world of technology in general and Azure in specific. And I'm your host, Ahmed.
And I'm Luke,
And
and
we
we're
are
your hosts
for,
for
for
this
this
podcast.
podcast. And to this amazing episode, we've got our amazing friend and a big inspiration, and Nicholas Chang. He's a really active person on the social media and in the community. We'll talk all about his career, and we really wanted to thank him actually for joining us and giving us the chance to talk about his career. And we hope that your career will inspire other people to jump in and follow your footstep. So without further ado, let's jump into the first question. Yeah, so the first question that I'd love to ask you here, Nicholas, is that tell us a little bit about your story. You could go as further back as you like. How did you jump into the world of technology? And we also are really interested in your story about starting as a. Did you start as a service desk help, and then in a very short time you actually are now a platform engineer?
Okay, yeah, so how far I'm gonna go? So I went to university and I got like a computing science degree in tutor in
Nice.
Staffordshire in UK in England, and towards that I got my first job as a IT support technician, just to support in the manager of any IT issues in a small e-commerce company. So while there, I developed some of like some technical skills and personal like soft skills as well, communication stuff. And
Nice.
if there's any skills that I don't like kind of fix at work, like some group policy, anything, I tend to like, for example, spin up like a home lab, like and play with group policies. And
Nice.
then I did that. I jumped to a few jobs and did support there. And it's only when during the pandemic I I left London because I was in London for that job, and then I came back to Birmingham, and I had to take another job that I didn't want because it's lower than the job I got before,
Okay.
and it's a service desk with CTI, so it's pretty much like a global IT managed provider company.
Nice.
And it's only when doing that it's in the pandemic that stage, and I wanted more of a career change is during that time. And I kind of like saw people from saw a lot of people on doing like DevOps and all those things and cloud and thing. And
Nice.
I kind of bumped into Cloud Skills.io.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And then
I know about those guys. Unfortunately, yeah. They no longer exist, but
yeah, they still exist now, but the new company by Mike Five was INE, so which is America, so it's quite, I recommend that. And after that, I did some certification, so I did AZ fundamental, AZ 104 and stuff. But during that time, I wanted to push myself there, and I met. I think I'm not sure if I mentioned this before. I met Thomas on social media on Twitter, and then he introduced me to where he works because he had the same journey as me. He started as a support engineer before I'd been there for 4 years, and he ended up as a technical architect or something. So I messaged him myself. He said there's a spot we do like academy at Kainos where I work. So that's pretty much 8 weeks. We teach people 8 weeks, have 8 weeks of technical skills, everything to get up to speed. For example, Terraform, AWS, Azure, some of the AKS and things, Git as well. But they would need to know the basic.
Cool. Yeah, like a boot camp or a starter program.
Yes. Yeah. So we normally aim that for everyone that wanted to career shift and go into that career. And I did that for 7 weeks, and then I was put in my first project and other projects following that.
Good on you.
Yeah.
Good on you. Sorry, did you say Thomas? Can you say his last name? Thomas who? Sorry.
Thornton?
Thomas.
Oh yeah, man,
yeah.
it's all good. It's actually not a bad thing. It's actually even good, because I wanted to put the spotlight on this thing, is that if you go out of your comfort zone, you go out of your go out of the the comfort zone, and then you go out of your place, and then try to reach out to people, network with people, and then jump into the community, you might end up with a lot of opportunities, or you might end up with creating an opportunity for yourself, because like sitting at home and then not reaching out and connecting with people is really hard if you are trying to jump into the world of technology, if you are trying to make a career. So that's actually a really good thing. So it's a great story. I think we
might have lost them.
Yeah.
Nicholas, Earth to Nicholas.
Dropped a little bit.
All good, mate. All good. Yeah. Sorry, it's all good. No worries. Don't worry about it.
I have to edit that.
It's all good.
Edit that part. So it's fine.
Yeah.
I didn't get to continue because it's kind of dropped. I don't know, because of the teams.
Yeah, it's all good. All good. All right. Cool. So back to you, Luke, now.
Yeah, thanks. So Nicholas, we've noticed that within a brief span of just 2 years, you've got an impressive number of certifications, from Microsoft to HashiCorp, and also the unique OpenHack certifications for containers, serverless, and DevOps. Could you share with us what those certificates mean to you? Why do you believe they're worthwhile an investment, and whether you'd encourage others to go and do the same certificates?
Okay. Yeah. So I really recommend the hackathon, that theme. So I get started in London when I was doing it, and then it's a group of people where doing group of exercise for a GitHub exercise, Azure DevOps exercise. And the reason I like about it is I didn't know anyone there. Everyone is there in different abilities, and then we just go there just to help each other learn. Because if you do the hackathon alone, it's harder you can get stuck and you don't know where to go, because while you do it on site, there's a coach there on an individual table that points you right direction, give you one of the MS Learn to go up and stuff, anything to point you right direction. So so I kind of love that approach. So I kind of do quite a bit of that. But the one that I kind of have a really did bad was serverless and containers. But then there's other people with different abilities there. So I really recommend, if you have any OpenHack where you are in our world, to actually try to do in person, because the best experience is having in person one than online.
Nice. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, so at the moment there's none in London anymore, in UK now, given that Adam left Microsoft. So there might be someone else that could take a place to do the OpenHack. So I'm not sure if there's anywhere else worldwide that people can do.
I'm not sure if New Zealand has them. I've never seen them, but
yeah, you're right. I think I've read about it in Australia. I've seen some guys, I think, from Microsoft and from the community do it in Australia. It's actually a really cool and interesting idea, going in and working on something, and you end up learning a lot, and like you said, end up talking to a lot of people from different skill sets. So that is just awesome. All right. Sorry.
The OpenHack is part of Microsoft Fastlane coaches. It's separate. They invite separate coaches to come, individual, and then they ask internal people from Microsoft if they want to coach from hackathon.
Yeah, I think
Nice.
it's great. I'm looking at the topics now, and it's AI powered knowledge mining,
Yeah,
app
data. Yeah.
modernization, containers, DevOps, migrating Microsoft workloads to Azure,
Okay.
serverless,
So
cloud-based.
if you want to learn AI, there's also the open source GitHub one. So you bring your own bring your own OpenAI. So if you just type Microsoft OpenAI, you should be able to see the repo of it and just try to mimic the resource that they do. But you won't get the same experience. But if you get stuck, you just have to challenge yourself and just do that. There's no coach for you.
I think Microsoft actually did a really great job in the Microsoft Learn. It does one thing that I really liked about it is that it breaks the topic into smaller modules, and then you go through it on your own pace, and gives you like points if you read if you finish up a module, or actually even give you an award if you finished a full module. It's really encouraging, and it's easy to follow up. So they did a really, really good job in that. And I think you're right. There is a lot of amazing. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, because not a lot of people like reading, like whether we're like in hard book, Microsoft Learn and stuff. People like to actually hands-on and get some like guidance where they get stuff on. Yeah. So even though there's a lot of like outside projects, like on the web, like actual project, like even some A-Cloud Guru anywhere else, it's better to have a tutorial with a walkthrough of the issues and stuff as well. Because if you give them a project, what to do, whether to do like a website with thing, they might not know what to do onto it.
Correct. Yeah, that's right. It's like you said, reading a book is really hard on your own, or like even going through a course that doesn't have a lot of hands-on is really hard. They've done a really great job. Is that I think every two or three topics you end up with a hands-on, and then I think of you end up, I don't know if it's still they still do that, but sometimes they actually even give you access to an Azure subscription for like an hour, like a sandbox, where you could run, this is still there, nice, where you could run like build a VM, like build a VNet or a load balancer, blah blah blah, and then just destroy the whole resources. And even if you don't destroy it, it will be automatically destroyed after a couple of hours. So that is actually awesome. I wanted to also ask you, Nicholas, about so beside your certification, you also have got a lot of, like, you're talking about a lot of topics like Azure DevOps, GitHub Actions, Terraform. So how do you study, or like what resources do you use for those, and how do you keep up to date with the technology? So like you jumped in, which is amazing. Like you jumped into platform engineering. When was that? Like 2 years ago, in the pandemic?
So that was last March.
Yeah, now you're talking about,
it's quite recent.
You're talking about Kubernetes, you're talking about Terraform, GitHub Actions. This is really impressive. So how do you, what do you do? Like, how do you challenge yourself, or how do you learn those topics?
So the best things, like if I'm like on a job, I tend to learn it for the project. Otherwise, I'd be more active, like within my workplace. There's other community focus, like for example, there's AI communities, there's separate communities. So I try to take involved with some of those to learn about it.
Good on you.
It's since cloud is really up, it's moving at a fast pace. I don't think I try my best to keep up to date. So whether it's just reading through on social media, reading through networking with people, so it's quite hard to keep up to date actually for that part. But I try to.
It's a full-time job, if at all.
Yeah.
It is.
Because even
that's the thing. Is people know that you can't know everything. You know, Microsoft changes a lot of things. Amazon changes. There's a lot of external influences, security, and everyone, like, you don't need to know it. You need to know enough to build the foundation to make sure that what you're developing is secure and performing. But you don't need to know everything, because it could change. You could spend ages reading a book. You could spend ages learning a content, and then by the time you get that pen into paper, or that mouse onto the to the screen, it could change. I see it all the time in the Azure portal. There's elements that I don't go to all the time, and then I go to the Azure portal to do something, and then I'm like, when did this appear? Like, it would have been great if it was there a couple of weeks ago, you know?
I know. Yeah, you're right. You're right.
I think that's probably why everyone tend to concentrate on what you really, really want to know. Like if you want to know Azure DevOps or like serverless, only focus on that, because if you focus on everything else, it's good to know a bit of each. Like everything else, like news updates, everything is too overwhelmed. So you're gonna just do what you want to know. Like if you want to know bicep, only focus on that area, or like security, then actually know everything. Even it's good to know every bit of each.
Yeah.
So how I learn from those resources, pretty much I learn from people. So really, and then I learn some of them from like MS Learn, A Cloud Guru stuff when I get a chance. Yeah.
I love it. I love this. I love
majority of the time it will be majority of the time you just do projects. So whether it's like whenever Thomas doing like a Terraform like projects and stuff on his blog, whether it's A Cloud Guru doing a project on making a cloud resume stuff, or it could be like project of scaling things. So it's just those two things, because it give you a walkthrough what you need to do. That's like best, because when I do it, sometimes I get stuck, and then I could potentially ask people, but I would get more stuck as well. So I like the bit where you get walked through a bit.
Nice. Yeah. I like that idea as well. Yeah, cool. Yeah, back to you, Luke.
Well, thanks. I was just going to say that I remember seeing posts from you, Nicholas, on Terraform and learning on very early days, where you were like, oh, I need to learn it, because we had the Discord channel and everything going as well.
Yeah.
And you were quite heavily involved with that. And then you finally got your Terraform Associate cert, which was quite good to see. But it was interesting because, the journey from zero to hero, really, like it was great to see. So well done.
Because I think it's that time I wanted to. I know that Kainos is used Terraform heavily, and I know that it's more usable, widely known for different cloud as well. If you want a cloud agnostic, so I thought it's best to focus on that Terraform. But I would ideally I would have to brush up on some bicep, because we have to learn both, even though for work, like for the our landing zone, we have to put both. So we, as an engineer, we need to be customizing what the client wants. So whether
and the good thing about those tool sets are they're both declarative. So you kind of you learn one and you can cross. It makes sense when you start looking at the code of the other. I'm definitely no expert in either of those, but I can make it work right. It's because you kind of understand
that's right.
How it works. So on that, let's go back. So you've gone through and you've got all your Terraform, you've got your Microsoft certs. Now you're speaking. So let's dive into all the speaking events that you're doing now. So you recently spoke at the Scottish Summit.
No, that's next week.
Next week?
Oh,
next week.
That's Saturday.
Okay.
That's awesome. Expert Live, I think, is coming up as well in
September.
Europe.
Nice.
Back to school, of course. And Gregor's live stream, which I watched. That was really good. The Azure Cloud. So I'm reading a list, but Azure Cloud Native podcast, LDNA user group. Like, where does it all come from?
That wasn't a. That's not a podcast. I think that's the dual session between Carl Klimerick and Cloud Native. So it's just a dual, they joint forces basically. So we're doing one end of this month. So
that's awesome. And you're speaking with us. So thank you for that. That was not one thing on the list, ironically, but yeah. So how has the public speaking influenced your learning journey, and would you recommend this, like doing what you're doing with public speaking on podcasts, sharing your knowledge? Would you recommend it to others to sharpen their skills as well?
Yes. So, well, to be honest, I'm not always confident. So when I was at university, I'm always shy towards people, like making friends and everything. Like when it is deliver a group presentation, be part of it to the whole like classes and stuff where it's like 30 people, students. So I'm kind of shy that way. So I only get involved in the community, I think last year or something, or roughly this year. And I was told I use that as a way to get up myself from the comfort zone and try to improve my ability, whether it's be more of a people person, be more of a help my confidence boost as well. So, and it helps me interact with more people as well. So I use that as a way to improve my soft skills as a person from when I was back in university, when I was shy that way. And I would recommend doing that way to everyone, because I didn't know what I was doing before, and I tried to keep improving it. So I think last month I went to a Microsoft speaker workshop, and that helped. That gave me some confidence because I've seen some professional speakers from there as well, and in Reshow to tell us the more benefits of public speaking, because it's not everyone born to speak. You just have to show. I just use it as a way, just use what I learned and just tell people. But it may not be fully accurate, but I tend to, whenever I do a presentation or anything, I try to give it to someone like a good in that field, like that like, for example, if my expert live, I'll probably do it with Richard and Thomas because he's more heavily involved in Kubernetes. So just get him to look through the content or give me a dry run. So I would just do that. So I would recommend that to everyone. So we won't know we won't know when we stop in public speaking, the contents can't be entirely perfect. So we just get someone to look through or help you. And I would recommend just getting a friend to do it as well, to help you assist with that. So for any of the like new topics that I speak on, like for example, that I don't know well, I normally put in getting started. So getting started is like in Kubernetes, getting started a container after anything, so they know when you're speaking that you're new to it, so they don't actually like hard questions. So
I remember Gregor saying a while ago that like he did the AZ 900 course, and I remember him saying that the fundamentals are actually some of the most popular content out there, which surprised me because you need to build the foundation to build the house. So I guess it makes sense. And your speaking starts with, okay, here's the getting started. Next will be an intermediate. Next will be an advanced. So you're learning the content as you're developing and you're speaking, and you're learning public speaking as well. Because it's not. I'm definitely not a public speaker. It takes a lot to get out of to do it.
I do some public speaking, and I think I'm a bit more comfortable doing public speaking. What I learned is a trick is that I heard some person say is that the audience is your ally. The audience actually wants you to succeed. So that is the scariest part, is that you will go on the stage, make fool of yourself, and then and it will be really bad. But in reality, most of the time, you see the audience is almost helping the speaker. So if you put the idea in your mind, that will make it so much easier facing people. The scariest part is your self-judgment, actually.
I had that before when I went to user group presenter, and then one guy was asking me like a complex question about Chaos Studio, and then another person in the audience actually helped me towards answer it. So help
that happens.
The question to the other guy. So
that happens
that's the
all
way.
the time.
They're trying to help you.
Yeah, you're right. That happens all the time, and it is like I found it easy to sometimes if someone asks me is that I'll easily say, actually, I don't know this. I'm not that deep now in learning this, or like I'm still learning or going through this. Just easily going and saying that makes sense. And you could even sometimes you could say, you know what, we could connect after the event, and I could find someone, or like we could find an answer to your question. So actually, good on you for putting yourself. And it's, I think what I found something that is like almost like a trend in what you're doing is that you're always putting challenging yourself. So you're always going to a networking the networking event, or like learning a new certificate, or like talking to someone, or going to an event. You're always challenging yourself, and that's how you learn. That's how you learn faster. That's how you get exposed to multiple technology. So that is actually a great recipe for success. So good on you, Nicholas. The other thing is that I think because of the type of your job, like you're working for I think you're working for Microsoft's partner. You do,
Yeah,
you do, yeah. So
most of it is public sector, so we have to be aware what we say and stuff towards like to the public and stuff.
Nice.
Because some of them's like I had to do like AC clearance and stuff, so some of them is like government.
Oh yeah, I get it. Okay, so my question is that most likely in your job you get exposed to those technology things, like you talk about the Terraform, the Kubernetes, and the platform engineering in general. What is your advice for someone who's like trying to learn this, and then it's a bit hard because their job is different, or like and I know that you talked about those resources, but what did you do actually before jumping into a job that is about the technology that you love and you learn? Before doing that, what did you do to teach yourself, or like to learn?
Well, most of those would be projects, really. So where you have your personal projects and stuff, like whatever it's like, don't know anything within Azure DevOps and stuff. So I try to be creative and actually like create my own, did my blog with Azure DevOps, trying to be more hands-on with it. So if there's anything like the requirements, for example, when I started as a platform engineer, they have a requirement that you need. For example, before, like I went to the interview for the platform academy, and then I was kind of scared I might not get it. So I kind of like did more of a projects and stuff, like learn more Terraforms and stuff, and learn more hands-on projects, and be able to explain that in the interview as well. So if someone's starting up and want to be more hands-on, I would say need to try to do more, I would say, projected-wise. So whether it's in your own time, or you can try to be, there's always that one mentioned. I think this hackathon online as well, so there's other things as well. So there's also lots on YouTube, so it's just fine. So yeah, that's how I do it.
That's actually
majority
awesome.
is just projects as well.
Yeah, that's actually an awesome advice. Going in and building a personal project, or working on something too, and it is something that me and Luke, we do all the time. Even though that we work on the technology and it's part of our job, but we do challenge ourselves and learn like this new technology. And then one day, all of a sudden, you find yourself working on it because you know it. So that's actually a good advice. Is that
the only advice people to do is not to do is like don't get really attached to it. Like for example, I am like staying up like 3 a.m. to just work on it, even though you love to learn about, like when I was trying to get my home lab working on playing with Azure Arc and stuff, I didn't get working, and I still was really wanted to get it working because it's on-prem to Azure and Kubernetes and stuff. So it's I would say it's a balance between your love and towards and your health as well, because you don't want to be attached to it and get hardly little bit of sleep. So that's the only advice. That's crucial.
Nice.
I think that's a maturity thing. As you get older, definitely. It's I think in terms of learning for your role, sometimes like your job, sometimes it depends on the market, because I know in New Zealand we have to be a bit more generalist. So, and that's the thing, like my Azure knowledge is very general because it's spread between multiple facets. Because in order to deliver something to the New Zealand market, I need to learn bits of everything, right? I can't just concentrate on AKS or functions as an example, because I need to know all these other things. But working at it, so that's a professional point, and which is really good because you understand how everything connects together. But from a personal point of view, being able to dig into that helps give you that extra knowledge. And
True.
Yeah, I think that's probably why my current project I'm on like a team that learn is bit of everything. So you learn a bit of like how the data center, how they connect data center to Azure, how the migration, so everything. So previous, I was on the BAU, which is doing like normal tickets and help dev with issues and with escalation stuff, but that gave me more of the bigger picture, to concentrate on what you need to learn when you do the migration from data centers and stuff.
Cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. Cool. Back to you, Luke.
So, are there any up and coming Microsoft technologies that you're excited about? And if so, can you share why you're excited about it?
So I would really want to learn more about what would say Azure ID and stuff, because that's it's more of a big on the market. And I would say towards how the AI specific, so how AI would actually do with Azure. So whether we will still have in a job like in 5 years time, or AI would actually take majority of the job. So that's really, really fascinating to learn. That's as such as well. But I've got quite a few other technology that I like Azure DevOps and other things. But I'm curious to learn more about like the AI aspect as well. So it's for the future as well, so to see how it is. Just curiosity really. So it's pretty much you learn whatever you're curious about, but then you just have to just go learn a bit of each and go through it. Whether it's doing like your own, because before I had I did a open hack with at work, so OpenAI. So I learned a bit of each. And then for those who want to learn more OpenAI, there's a hackathon in the UK. There's a workshop in the UK in South Coast in October. I think you did advise someone that did all day OpenAI hackathon. So if you're interested, so I might consider doing that. So yeah, so it's just curiosity really. There's a lot more technologies that I want to involve, like for example, the Azure Arc as well. So my company doesn't really use Arc that much. So it's good to actually drive the company that way if we see more people actually being interested to learn it.
Cool.
Yeah,
Azure AI actually is pretty interesting. There's a lot of potential to it, and a lot of hype around it.
Yeah.
But it is a justified hype. It keeps on getting better and better, keeps on amazing us. So so Azure AI is actually really cool. I'll ask you, it's more of a almost like two questions in one. Is that if you can you tell us about like a challenge or like a hurdle in your career, and how did you deal with that? And if you with the knowledge about your current knowledge, if you go back and go back in time and talk to yourself, what advice would you tell yourself?
Okay, so the hurdle and challenge would be when I tried to learn programming at university. So whether it's like C# or Java, so how I deal with that was I need to get like one of my colleagues to assist me. Otherwise, I would try to read upon some basic Java stuff as well.
Nice.
Yes, I still don't understand now at present how programming works at Java's perspective. So, but in technology aspect, so when I was wanted to learn anything like on-premise stuff like Azure AD connector stuff, I normally just try to do a lab on it. So it's just my curiosity to do it. But certain things you can't really do because, for example, if it's VMware virtualization, sometimes you may not got the resources to do it, so you may just have to read upon what you can, because some of them could be like quite expensive, like vSphere, everything for the licenses. So it's just a curiosity and just see where it takes you. That part.
In regards to programming, don't worry, English is now the most favorite programming language.
Yeah. Yeah, because
Exactly,
I know that, for
exactly.
example, majority of programming like Plumi, they integrate it with Python, C# and stuff. But like Terraform, CDK and stuff, you can do with Python as well. So it may be some skills that we would need to learn later on, but it's not. It may be in the future. So because that's where the next level of infrastructure skills can be. So.
Nice.
I'm not sure if Bicep's going to have similar one for like if it's going to do with Python as well. Like they might have APIs already, like Bicep, because majority of the services like Azure Function or those things you can do it with Bicep as well. No, actually, like Python as well. So it's. But then majority, like if you can't do everything in infrastructure code. For example, we need at my workplace, we have to do stuff with Bash or PowerShell and stuff. So it's good to learn like Bash or PowerShell, and you don't really need to learn like high level Python as well, because most of the Bash is pretty much Azure CLI, because it's not everything you can do by the infrastructure just code in Python and Bicep and Terraform. Sometimes you have to be more creative and just use it with Python and Bash and PowerShell.
Or bits and pieces. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, back to you, Luke.
Oh, cool. So Nicholas, if you could go back in time.
Yeah.
You've kind of already answered that actually. Like, what advice would you give your younger self, right?
Okay. My advice is, for my younger self, I would not go to university. Since I went to university, I paid a lot of fees, so I still got debt for loan and stuff. But I don't think I've learned a lot from university, to be honest, because I've only learned like maybe 50% the theory works. But after university, it's more sort of hands-on, need to build in your own like practical stuff as well. So even when I get my own job, get my own IT job as IT support technician, all of those didn't know anything about it at university. So they didn't tell about like data rack cables and fiber and stuff. So the majority of those.
I think that's a fair. That's a fair point. It's actually a plus for people who are like from outside the technology sector. So if you are interested in learning, or like if you want to jump in, you don't need a certificate, and sometimes even gaining a certificate would not help, because you might end up with a lot of theory. You might end up with a lot of like going deep into a topic, like let's say for example, hardware, or like going into a technology that you will not end up using, and then you spend a lot of time learning that, so you don't need to worry about having a certificate or like awesome, cool.
So I would suggest apprenticeship, because that's where we would go. Whether it's just starting from a boot camp online, like 8 weeks, or like what I did with the Kainos Academy. So similar to that, but any boot camp as well. So they would teach you the fundamental, but the actual basic fundamental, like gate to what is Azure or what is AWS stuff. You just have to either learn that by your curiosity to want more, or do exam, and then you just need to do a boot camp, and then that will give you like more exposure.
Nice.
Yeah,
Nice.
it's definitely a controversial subject, I think, depending on who you talk to, whether at university or not. But like for me, I spent a good amount of my early career volunteering at the local computer shop. And yeah, that gave me a lot of knowledge.
Yeah.
So I didn't go to university, but I did do a diploma in computing level 5, which NCA, which is just kind of like 1 year of study, really. But
Nice.
my grandfather said to me once, school is not, you don't go to school to learn, you go to school to learn how to learn. So
I
so
love
you're
it.
learning how to
Okay.
learn. So when you're in the workplace, you know how to function as an adult, and you know how to learn.
Nice.
And that's yeah.
That's actually
That's
great advice. That's really cool. You're right about that. And again, like you said, we're not saying like don't go to college or don't go to university.
Yeah.
We're just saying if you think that this is a hurdle, like this is something that you are afraid of not jumping into the world of technology, you don't need to worry about that. There's a lot of ways, like what Nicholas just mentioned. There is apprenticeship. There is a lot of personal project that you could use and to learn. So you don't need a certificate, but by all means, if you got a certificate or studied for it, so good on you. I went into university. I studied for 4 years, got a computer engineering degree. So and of course that actually exposed me to a lot of useful stuff and stuff that I use. For example, I discovered my passion for networking in the uni. I learned funny enough, I learned C and C++, and I never used it. And even learned assembly language. But I never used it. But it is still useful, like you said, Luke. It actually helps you in the way you think. Helps you, especially problem solving. That is useful. This actually has been. Sorry.
I want to add one more thing, because in the apprenticeship, if you can't find any apprenticeship and you want to get more of a hands-on experience, you could potentially volunteer yourself. So I remember volunteering myself towards like Oxfam, the charity shop, and did do the IT there. So whether database, web designing stuff,
Nice.
websites and stuff. So you just try to volunteer yourself, get out there and try to help like a company and stuff. So that's another way. Even though it's free, it's still trying to get experience from that.
I think
that's a good idea.
That's an interesting thought, because I have people come to me all the time going, I want to learn Azure. And it's like, well, that's really great, but why? Like, what do you want to learn in Azure? Azure is quite a large topic. What exactly? Is it IoT? Is it development? Is it IT pro stuff? Is it integration? Like, what exactly are you interested in? And a lot of the times people don't know. And I guess it's the same with approaching university too, because it's kind of like, I'm going to university because I like technology, but I don't know what areas of technology. So the university curriculum is like a buffet or a buffet. It's like you take what you want, and then you come out of it a couple of years later and you know kind of what you like in your career. So
that's right.
It's similar like you say, like a university of Azure, you could be like a module with serverless, a module with security, the module with identity and those things, and you see overall, you see which one you like, which modules in Azure or something like that. So that's what they need to know, the fundamental, which area they want to go to do. So it's pretty much like a use case. If you have a good use case, what you want to do with it, like whether it's building a website or creating anything like a product, anything. So then you can go there and just see how you can see some option, how you can work with Azure, how you can build it.
I think you're right.
You just have to find a use case.
The Azure fundamentals actually is really good. They've done a really great job of covering a lot of topics, and they actually found it really useful. Funny enough, when I was studying for the 100 and what the Azure administrator is it 101?
104.
104. Sorry, now it's now 104. Yeah. So I was like, because in 104 they actually expect you to already know all the things that is in the fundamentals. So they just jump in. You're like, okay, so we told you about this and this. Now how to build it, or like how to configure it and all of that. So I found the Azure 900 really useful, and I found even myself going back and reading some of it when I'm going for the 104. That was actually really useful, Nicholas. You've managed to help us and help our audience in all the answers that you gave us, because it was all about how to find your way. That is really cool. Really appreciate that. We wanted to ask you, is there like a topic that you wanted us to ask you about, or like you wanted to bring in that we didn't touch on?
No.
Good.
That's fine. Because so it's anything, because it's up to like the audience anyway. So what they want to learn, so I hope they learn something from my journey, so they can put their journey. It's easier for them. So yeah, so they can have some options, whether to go to university, do apprenticeship, or say, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah,
nice.
like you watching this video like 5 years ago, right? This is the kind of advice that you want to,
Yeah.
To give to other people. So yeah, because the majority of it would be actually lots of boot camps, because I see people like online, like from a teacher, go to a software engineer just by doing a boot camp and self-learn. So if she can do it, anyone can do it to change their career as well.
Nice.
That's awesome. So for listeners who'd like to get in touch with you after this show and episode, what would be the best way for them to get in touch with you, Nicholas?
So the best way is probably LinkedIn, Twitter. So yeah, those things. So I'm on Instagram as well, but so I would say LinkedIn, Twitter is okay.
Nice. Yeah. That's awesome. Twitter has changed now. Maybe in the future we'll call it X. I don't know what what is it gonna be called, or like I saw
Yeah.
It is it is an interesting platform. I think it's gonna be there could be some potential for it. That's been really
so I'm
awesome.
also on Thread, if you want to go on Thread. So I'm also on Thread. Yeah. That's the new Twitter, isn't it? Apparently.
What is it called?
Might
Sorry?
go there, maybe.
Thread. I think that's
Thread.
the
Okay.
Instagram version. But yeah, there's Blue Sky, Mastodon. Yeah. It's like Pokemon, right? Catch them all. Catch all the social media networks. But
exactly.
We've started doing bio pages for speakers such as yourself on the Azure All Stars website. So there'll be a page that will have your name, a picture of you, a bio about you, and links to like your Twitter and your LinkedIn and stuff like that as well. So
okay, that's cool.
Thank you so much, Nicholas. That has been really awesome. Really, I really love those episodes, because it always talks about the story of a person that you don't normally like explore. So if you're talking or meeting someone, you don't go back and talk about their career and their story. So I really loved it. And I'm pretty sure your career is actually really inspiring, because it takes a lot of there's a lot of people in the same boat, and a lot of people who are like trying to be in the place you are in, and learn more about the technology. So you've managed like to go through it all, learning on your own, going into apprenticeship. That is just an awesome story. So really appreciate you sharing that with us. And then thank you for jumping in on this call. And
thank you.
Thank you, mate.
Okay.